I have some massive news to share with you all today, which is quite fitting with this 8-8 Lion Gates portal. Today is an official public announcement to tell the world that the Andean Constellation Project has been officially initiated. The Andean Constellation Project will be the first ever retreat center to facilitate a cultural exchange between extraterrestrial beings and humans for the enlightenment of humanity. I've been asked if I would like to be a project leader in carrying this mission forward, as well as being a public relation officer and also a global ambassador for the first extraterrestrial race who will be joining us to co-create something absolutely beautiful. This is in conjunction with a massive Stargate that is currently opening here, and I have talked about these Stargates in the past. You can find a link to this video in the description box below. My name is Izzy, and welcome back to the download. So this project have been coming to my awareness for quite a few years now. This is not the first time that I've heard that at some point on my path I will be co-creating something of this kind, and how it came to be that I can now speak about it is I had a lot of prep work to do within myself to be able to facilitate and coordinate all of this to the best of my abilities. What happened in the last couple of weeks is I had some major upgrades. I received some 12-dimensional information and energy and connecting my consciousness, if you say, and I was being given a keypad. It's like a keyboard to write on a computer, but it was not hooked up to anything. And what it was offered to me is like, you need this to plug into a data network, and you can no longer go on your path until you receive this packet of information. Essentially, what this information was, after meditating for days and streaming a whole bunch of stuff, that what came to be is it gave me access to a spacecraft carrier. And we all know what a aircraft carrier is. It's essentially ships that carries a lot of aircrafts on it. And a spacecraft carrier is essentially what that is. It's this giant spacecraft that carry a fleet of other smaller ships within. And from that database, I was starting to receive information as to yes, it was time to initiating this project. And this is where I was asked if I would like to do so. And of course I did. I asked a lot of questions first. Where is this going to be? How are we going to go about this? And essentially, who are these first extraterrestrial beings? Because there is, of course, a huge ethical responsibility that comes with that. Hence why I spent many years working on myself to be able to bring this forward. Essentially, the first wave of extraterrestrial beings who are going to come are actually intraterrestrial beings. They're already here on Earth. They just live in a different dimension, and they are already communicating with a bunch of people, and you might be one of them. And they are the Mantids. And the Mantids, the way they show up in my space a few years ago is I went through a ceremony where I had a lot of neuroplasticity and things changing, and just to allow my consciousness to expand further and communicate with certain races. And I was left with a massive headache from that, and I've asked for some help, and they're the one who came. They were right in my bedroom, the best Reiki I ever had. And through communicating with them, these beings, they're like incredibly loving, high emotional intelligence, but they are also very in tune with the intricacies of the balance in the world. And right now we are at the point where we have such a parasitic relationship with Mother Earth that we can no longer go this way. There's some backtracking to do, but there's also some correcting and healing and all of that, and they are coming here to help us with that. Now you may be thinking like, wow, like how do you trust these beings? The thing is, it's just not me personally that they say, yeah, come on, like this is okay, guy. Collectively, we are all co-creating this. I am just facilitating something that we have already collectively agreed upon. There are numerous people who have had interactions with these beings, incredibly positive interactions with these beings, and you can call them and interact with them yourself if you'd love to. Essentially, this is a project that's going to go from, I believe, multiple generation. It's just not a short-term thing. It's going to be starting in 5 years from now, is what I'm forecasting, to be able to get through all of the red tapes to really manifest it and build a structure and all of this. So this is in conjunction with a big Stargate that is opening, and this Stargate is actually information streaming from a different galaxy. And this is why I made a video in the past about this. But essentially, this Stargates is information coming from this galaxy called Arrakarrya. And Arrakarrya is a galaxy whose all inhabitants and the consciousness there are all harmonious and living and have a symbiotic relationship with each other. This galaxy has been at peace for a long time, and therefore the frequencies are quite elevated. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, although it has just reached a state of peace, the energies fall flat, because even though it's like there was a lot of war and now we have reached peace, but there's still a lot of healing to do, understanding, and also starting to really create peace and build from that something that's incredibly harmonious. So this is where we are at galactically. And what happened very recently is these two galactic core, Arrakarrya and our Milky Way, were kind of joined together to open a portal here on Earth, which will activate satellites. And what I mean here by satellites is now humans will start to actually connect directly with Arrakarrya and get a lot of spiritual teaching from her, because we are at an age where we are very much in a psychic evolutionary course, and I made another video about this. And to put it lightly here, what I've explained in that video is evolution is not just about technological advancement or growing taller. We are very much into a psychic evolution course. We went as far as we could go with technology. We went as far as we could go without really balancing our emotional intelligence. And our next step in our human evolution is really to open our psychic gifts. And essentially, the Kundalini, the Earth's Kundalini, used to be up in the Himalayas, and now it's here in South America near Bolivia. And when it was, well, where the Earth's Kundalini is, it always affects the consciousness of the people greatly. And this is why when it was in the Himalayas, it gave birth to Taoism and Tai Chi and all of these Buddhist and Eastern philosophies and yoga and Hinduism and all of that. It was all under the effect of this strong Earth's Kundalini energy. But now that the Kundalini has retracted and come back up here in Bolivia, it's changing the course of humanity entirely. And to put it in perspective, if you think of all of the Eastern philosophies, and let's say you reach Buddhahood, it is still only a small step in a giant staircase as far as how much consciousness we can expand. And the next step for us in our human evolution is to actually, where these Eastern philosophy and these practices made us aware of our energetic body and awaken our heart to all that there is, the next step is to learn how to utilize this energy to have a direct physical impact in the physical world, giving birth to abilities such as telekinesis to pull plastic out of our oceans, or alchemy to alchemize excess CO2 in our atmospheres, as well as genetic restorations to revert or genetically modify food back to its origin. So with all of this giant psychic evolution that we're currently going through, and when I'm saying currently, I'm a teacher in that space, and I'm a person who helped facilitate these awakened gifts. And I already had not one but two people in my space coming to develop their telekinetic abilities. So I'm not just a crazy person here. There are people already who are aware they have these gifts, and they are already in contact with me. And I just want to make you guys aware of this. You might be one of them, who knows? So with all of these gifts that are awakening, there's still very much a moral and spiritual and ethical component with that. And this is where Arrakarrya is coming to help us with the moral and the balance and the ethics through her spiritual teaching. And what the extraterrestrial beings are coming with as well is to not only they want to work, they want to learn from us and interact with us, but they also want to teach us as to how we could utilize this gift to really redevelop not only a symbiotic relationship with Earth, but to recreate the Garden of Eden we once had. So this is the timeline we are clocking in right now. This is being made available to us because we have risen our frequency high enough to receive and start stepping into this amazing timeline, this golden age where we are not only recreating this beautiful symbiotic harmonious relationship with Earth, but we are also remembering our place within the galaxy with all of these other beings. So eventually I will be making a website just for this project, but in the meantime, if you want to keep receiving information about this, I have a newsletter that I put out every single week, only once a week. You can subscribe to my newsletter from my website, which is in the description box. Just make sure to check your junk spam folder when you subscribe. And yes, so welcome to the new age. I'm super excited to meet you. And before I cut, I want to make you guys aware too that this Wednesday, yesterday, by the time I filmed this, I went and gave the first public discourse, public lecture here in my community, which was incredibly well received. And not only that, there's a lovely couple who came at the end, and they looked at me, and the gentleman introduced himself and his wife and said that his wife had been incredibly spiritually gifted throughout her life. And through her gifts, first they thanked me for speaking into this because it had been so many years for them to hearing that there were a fascinating thing coming, but then they seeing all of the world, all of the wars in the world, and they were like, yeah, but what's going on here? So they thanked me for bringing this news to them. It was a big relief for a lot of people, which made me really happy. And also what they share with me is she had already channeled a whole retreat center that even had a crystal chandelier and all of that. It was right down to the detail. And they even had an architect to build all of the plans. So they already invested, and they're like, throughout our lives, we were constantly trying to manifest this project, but we could never make it. And we would love to give these plans to you. So just to show that there's already solidarity and collaborative energies in this project, things are already starting to click together, and I am super excited about this future. So thank you very much for listening. My name is Izzy, and enjoy the rest of your day.